Welcome guys to this introduction to crime and punishment for your GCSE History exams. Today we're looking at different types of crime, different types of punishment, and the role of law enforcement. And then we'll bring it all together and look at the broad trends for change and continuity across medieval England, early modern England, 18th and 19th century Britain, and modern Britain. Let's jump in. The structure of crime and punishment is quite straightforward. You have three main themes you explore: crime, punishment, and law enforcement. You study these themes across four periods: medieval England, early modern England, 18th and 19th century Britain, and modern Britain. Exam questions will test you on changes and continuities between these four different periods. You can think of this as trying to analyse the similarities and differences between periods in terms of crime, law enforcement, and punishment. The crimes you learn about can be divided into three different types: crimes against a person, crimes against property, and crimes against authority. Crimes against a person may include murder, assault, rape, and domestic violence. Crimes against a property may include theft, burglary, and arson. Crimes against authority may include treason, conspiracy, and espionage. Treason is the act of betraying your country, most typically through attempts to kill or overthrow the government or monarchy. Conspiracy is when two or more individuals collaborate together to commit a crime, and espionage is the use of spying. We can divide punishments into three different types based on the aim of the government or authority in handing out that punishment. The three different aims of punishment are retribution, deterrence, and rehabilitation. Retribution can be thought of as revenge against the criminal, to bring justice to the victim. Examples include the death penalty and mutilation. Retribution was often used alongside deterrence. Deterrence can be thought of as discouraging criminals to commit these crimes. Examples of deterrence include whipping and humiliation tactics like the use of stocks and the pillory. We'll explore these in future videos. The final aim of punishment is rehabilitation. This can be thought of as transforming criminals into contributing members of society. An example of this would be community service. So we've explored the basics of crime and the basics of punishment. Now let's look at where law enforcement fits into all of this. The aim of law enforcement is to protect civilians from becoming victims of crime and trying to reduce the amount of crime by deterring criminals from committing these acts. Now, as you begin to revise the medieval period, you'll see that most law enforcement was done by local communities rather than centralised policing units. However, gradually over time, as we move towards the modern era in Britain, we start to see more professional, full-time, paid police forces and specialist units. It is crucial for a top grade in crime and punishment that you understand the changes and continuities between different time periods. It can get quite overwhelming to try and revise all of the changes and continuities, so we're going to go through the broad picture of the main things to remember between each time period. The first period is the medieval era, which mostly focuses on the years 1250 to 1500. In this era, we see a large influence on the church and local communities in law enforcement and punishment. However, over time, the monarchy starts to gain more power in this area. As we move into the early modern era, covering 1500 to 1700, the church continues to have influence. However, this is challenged over time. The Reformation and the English Civil War lead to huge political, religious, and social changes in England, and more severe punishments as crime rates increase. You may see the third time period described as the Industrial Revolution, or 18th and 19th century Britain. Either way, this refers to the years 1700 to 1900. In this era, crime rates continue to increase as we see developments in transportation and migration to cities from rural areas. We also see the first centralised policing system, which later became the Metropolitan Police that we have today. There's also a change in attitudes in society towards punishments during this period. We see the abolition of some severe punishments, and they're replaced by more lenient punishments, mostly around rehabilitation and reform. And finally, we have the modern era, which covers 1900 to the present day. In this period, we see significant developments in technology, which lead to new types of crimes being committed, for example, car theft, cyber fraud, and identity theft. There's also an increased focus on tackling the causes of crime, like poverty, for example, and less reliance on deterrence and retribution. The death penalty gets abolished as well, and we see more use of non-custodial punishments, which are alternatives to prison sentences. We also see more female police officers, more officers from ethnic minority backgrounds, increased training, and new specialist units to tackle certain types of crime. I hope this video gives you more confidence and understanding of the broad topics in crime and punishment. In the next video, we'll explore medieval England and dive into the specifics of the topic. Thanks for tuning in to this introduction, and I'll see you all in the following videos.